dictionary, and dictionaries grow all the time, and new words are coined and added basically every day, every week and every month, especially when you take into consideration some latest technical and scientific developments, but only some cultural changes that happen within the language itself as well. So today we're going to focus on some of the words that have been added to English language dictionaries over the recent years. So, well, basically, without further ado, let's start. The first word I would like you to pay attention to is Anthropocene. Basically, well, it can be a noun, can be an adjective. Have you heard it? Because it's one of the buzzwords that have popped up in the media quite many times in a few recent years. There's also been a film by that title. So, what is Anthropocene? Have you heard the term? You can type up some answers in the chat if you have some ideas, or maybe you know what that is. Well, that's one of geological periods. Basically, it's a new word coined by some scientists who believe that human impact on the planet is anthropos from Greek relates to human. But Anthropocene is a new name of a new geological period or era, so to say, that some scientists coined because they believe that our impact, human impact on the planet, is so big that we'll live now in the age of the human. So technically speaking, the definition of Anthropocene would be a geological period or era or age in which human activity has had some dominant influence on the climate and the environment. So basically, not all scientists will agree on it. It hasn't been officially confirmed, but scientists cannot even agree to the starting point of Anthropocene, when it actually started. Some people say we should mark like the beginning of industrial revolution in the 19th century is the beginning of Anthropocene. Other scientists claim that it's rather like the explosion of the first nuclear bomb detonated in the 20th century. But anyways, that's up to scientific debate. And anyways, many people believe that now we live in a geological period called Anthropocene, which is the age of a human. For example, most scientists agree that humans have had a hand in warming Earth's climate since the Industrial Revolution. Some even argue that we are living in a new geological epoch dubbed the Anthropocene. Dubbed simply means cold, right? So that's the first word for today. Quite recent one, quite up to date, and still being debated by lots of smart people around the world. Another one, very unscientific, so to say, Anytown. This is just a generic noun which can be used to refer to a real or fictional place regarded as being a typical of a small town in the US, in the United States of America. So any town, it's just can be any such place somewhere in the interior. For example, a basketball arena straight out of a high school in Anytown, USA. So Anytown can be basically anywhere in the US, assuming that basketball arenas in such towns look pretty much the same. Another word is autotune. What's that? Have you heard about it? It's kind of from the music industry. What's autotune? Any ideas? Well, that's basically when some artist or singer is not really talented. It's a device or facility for tuning something automatically, like the pitch of your voice, using some algorithm or computer software. and it enables the correction of an out-of-tune vocal performance. So basically, lots of artists use it nowadays, even the ones who can sing really well, but they want to make some corrections to the recording and they want to sound even more perfect. Yeah, so that's autotune. For example, 2 months after the album's release, Wilson denied using autotune in his work. So some artists are not really proud of the fact that they are using autotune in their recordings, but well, in fact, they do. The next word is pretty well informal, coming from some teenage slang. Awesomesauce. So I guess you're familiar with the term awesome. What does it mean if something is awesome? Well, that's amazing, great, exactly. And awesome sauce basically is very, very similar. It's used as an adjective, and we can use it to refer to something which is extremely good. Like the opposite is weak sauce. Yeah. So if you like a concert or performance or anything, you can say, "Wow, that was some awesome sauce." But on the other hand, if something is not that good, we can use the phrase weak sauce. Very kind of teenage word. For example, seeing them perform live was awesome sauce. Yeah, probably we shouldn't expect older people to use this kind of language, but lots of young people online use it nowadays. So awesome sauce versus weak sauce. The next word is badassery. Well, in many films, TV series, books, we can find the term badass. Oh, he's such a badass, and badassery is a noun directly created from that. So basically, what that is some behavior characteristics or actions regarded as formidably impressive. Something, wow, that really impresses people. Probably somewhere deep down inside would like to be just like the guy. Who can be characterized by some badassery, for example. Few of us can attain her level of badassery. She's so cool that it's almost impossible for us to be as badass as herself. Attain is similar to achieve, right? To attain her level of badassery. Right. Well, this is one of my favorite ones, beer o'clock or wine o'clock. Well, we obviously know that the British drink tea at 5 o'clock. But if you feel like a pint of beer or a glass of wine, then you can, of course, have it when the beer o'clock comes or wine o'clock. This can be used to refer to any time you feel suitable to have some kind of drink, right? So these two terms simply describe the appropriate time of the day when you can start drinking the indicated beverage. Very flexible, highly customizable. It can be any point of time. Yeah. So for some people, it might be 12 o'clock noon. For others, a bit later. So it all depends on the mood and day. So beer o'clock and wine o'clock, for example. We went to find a bar as it was almost beer o'clock. Just wondering what time that might be. Anyways, beer o'clock, wine o'clock. Instead of drinking tea at 5 p.m., you can set some kind of beer o'clock or wine o'clock at any time of day or night when you feel the time is right. Okay. Big data or data, whatever you want to pronounce it. Well, of course, term coming from IT, not that new, but nowadays, well, all kind of data is stored in some cloud and big data. So like extremely large data sets analyzed by computers to reveal some patterns, associations, trends, which relate to human behavior and interactions. So basically, big websites, social networks like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram accumulate some petabytes of data about us, which can be analyzed and then sold to advertisers. Well, that's how it's done nowadays. So that's big data or data. For example, much IT investment is going towards managing and maintaining big data. binge watch. That's a very interesting verb. Have you encountered it before? Have you seen it or heard it somewhere? What exactly does this one mean? To binge watch something. Of course, we know the verb to watch, but what about binge watching? We can also talk about binge drinking, like coming back to beer o'clock or wine o'clock. Yeah, if you binge drink, then you drink a lot, like pint after pint or a glass after glass. And if you binge watch, I guess many of you use some online video streaming services, which basically make it possible to watch the whole season of a TV series in one sitting. Like back in the day, so you had to buy like a whole DVD set with all the episodes of one season to watch it at home on one day. And that's what binge watching is, like watching multiple episodes of a television program, for example, in rapid succession, so one after another. Well, in the past, it was done typically by some DVD or Blu-ray. Now it's rather digital streaming. So that's what binge watching is. For example, you can binge watch the entire season with this DVD set. And that's, I guess, what many people do nowadays. They binge watch. Start in the morning, finish in the evening, or takes them all night to watch like many episodes of the same TV series. Okay. Butt dial and pocket dial. What about these ones? Have you heard them before? Of course, I guess you know what dial means when you think about a phone. But what about butt dialing and pocket dialing? Because these are the verbs. Any ideas what they might mean? So basically, when you put your mobile phone into your pocket without locking the screen, there's a chance that you might dial some number by accident, right? And that's what butt dialing or pocket dialing exactly is. Yeah, so it's like basically accidental dialing of some numbers, calling someone by accident. Yeah, sometimes you get some strange voicemails or messages when you can only hear the background noise, but actually no message, no voice speaking any words. So this is, well, something when what happens when people forget to lock their devices and put them away in their pockets. And this is butt dialing or pocket dialing. I guess it happens to any one of us at some point. All right. For example, I have had several people bad dial me, from former girlfriends to my brother. So always lock the screens on your phones before putting them away into your pockets or bags or wherever you keep them. Okay, butthurt. Another word with butt. That's a noun which simply means how you feel when you are overly or unjustifiably offended or resentful. Like you feel that some situation was not really fair, and you know somebody treated you in a really bad way, and you didn't really deserve it. Then you feel something called butthurt. For example, that fight the other night was started by a butthurt player from the losing team. So that's enough of butts, I guess. Another word is buzzworthy. I guess we all know the word worthy. Buzz, well, insects buzz, right? So what does the adjective buzzworthy mean nowadays? If something is buzzworthy, any ideas, anyone? Well, if something is buzzworthy, it is very likely to arouse some interest or attention of the public, caused either by media coverage or word of mouth. Yeah, so if you something is new, the latest, very interesting, media talk about it, or people talk about it, and that's what we call a word of mouth. You tell your friends tell their friends, and this is how the word spreads about something which is buzzworthy, something worth mentioning and spreading the message about. For example, the year was full of buzzworthy red carpet fashion moments. Yeah, some gossip internet portals specialize in some buzzworthy situations or pictures published online, going viral, and this is something buzzworthy, something worthy of your interest. Bling, that's a very short word. It's a noun. Have you heard it before? Like, any ideas what it might mean? What a bling is? Well, speaking about the red carpet and some celebrities, especially what they wear, some jewelry or accessories. A bling is simply an expensive, very ostentatious piece of clothing or jewelry. Yeah. So yeah, a watch worth $100,000, for example, would be a bling. For example, yeah, look at the bling he's already wearing on his left arm. So any kind of trinkets, yeah, accessories, or jewelry that's supposed to draw attention and yeah, just for people to show off is a bling. Bromance. That's a very nice one. It's actually two words blended. So any ideas what two words might have been blended to create the word bromance? Sounds almost like a romance, yeah. But bromance, what is that? Any ideas? Well, a bromance is actually a close but not non-sexual relationship between two men. So a very close friendship between two males can be called a bromance. For example, the bromance between the Russian president and the billionaire ex-prime minister of Italy goes way back. So some high level of romance, somebody typed. Well, yeah, in this case, in this example, it's very high level, like Russian president and ex-prime minister of Italy. It might be high level, yeah, but this is just, yeah, non-romantic relationship between two men, bromance. Chillax. Well, that's another verb made up of two words. What two words have been joined to make this one up? Chillax. Well, of course, chill and relax. And again, it's a kind of dance to your favorite tune. Yeah, dance to your favorite tune might be chillaxing. That's right. But chillax simply means to come down and relax. Yes, that's what people like doing after a stressful day at work or at the weekend. For example, yeah, you can dance to your favorite tune, chillax, or have friends over. So, yeah, very good answer from you. Exactly, to chillax. Come down and relax. Duh. This is an exclamation. Well, basically, when we express some disappointment with ourselves, we did something silly or stupid, we made a stupid mistake, then, well, we comment on our foolish or stupid action, saying, duh, I did it again. No, I lost my keys. Duh. So, for example, I keep crashing cars. Duh, what a dummy. There are different variants of spelling of this one. Yeah, you can spell it with an apostrophe or without the apostrophe, but this is just an exclamation when you're not very happy with what you have done. Duh. Yeah. Droolworthy. Another word with worthy. We had buzzworthy before. Now we have droolworthy. What's the meaning of drool? When you drool, what happens when you drool? Any ideas? So drooling happens, for example, when you are very hungry and you see some food. Yeah. So basically, some saliva is produced in your mouth, right? Your mouth water. So something drool-worthy is extremely attractive or desirable. That's a very nice adjective. We can use it to refer to people, like up close. He was even more drool-worthy. Yeah? So he looked even nicer from close distance. But also we can use this word to refer to food. Yeah, like drool-worthy pastries and baked goods. I hope you're not hungry, but yeah, if you are and you see something delicious, then this something is definitely drool-worthy, or someone. All right, Frankenfood. Everyone has heard about Frankenstein, but what is Frankenfood? Any educated guesses, ideas? What is Frankenfood? Well, it's related to GM and GM, but okay, GMO, exactly. Some good answers from you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so Frankenfood simply means genetically modified food, which many people are afraid of. We have lots of products in our shops with labels GMO free or no GMO or whatever. So yeah, some people refer to GM food as Frankenfood. For example, yeah, they want to sell us Frankenfood. Yeah, lots of people in Europe are kind of afraid of it. Like, doesn't have good press on our continent. Frankenfood, genetically modified food. All right. Geekfest. Well, geek. I guess we know the word. We heard it. Who's a geek? First of all, any ideas? I guess you must have heard the word. Noob. Actually, noob, we'll discuss the word noob later. Geek is not necessarily a noob, and even sometimes quite contrary, because a geek is somebody like oriented onto like one thing, like, you know, IT or some kind of video game, or specializes in it, right? And fest is a kind of meeting or gathering. So basically, a geek fest is a gathering of geeks, like people devoted to one branch of technology, or to some device or video game, or maybe a book or writer, or fans of some comic book series. Yeah, these are geeks. So this is a geek fest is like single ongoing activity that particularly appeals to geeks. Yeah, like Comic Con, yeah, which draws attention of lots of comic book fans from all over the states, and they just dress up and cosplay and go to one place just to become part of Geek Fest. Lots of geeks in one place. That's a Geek Fest. For example, yeah, the release of iPhone 11 drew a Geek Fest in Sydney today. So lots of Apple fans or iPhone fans gathered outside the shop just to be the first to buy the new device. Yeah, that's a kind of a Geek Fest gathering meeting of lots of geeks in one place. Girl. Well, this is sounds like a girl, but the spelling has been modified a bit to resemble like some animal growling sound. So it's not actually a girl, but a girl. And what that is, well, as usually a young woman, regarded as very independent, strong, and aggressive, especially when it comes to her attitude to men or her sexuality. If you think about like the Russian band Pussy Riot, well, they are not girls; they are girls, right? Kind of aggressive. It's like a kind of a feminist, we could say, but very aggressive. And these kind of girls know what they want. For example, yeah, the Riot Girl phenomenon began in 1991 with two all-female punk rock bands. So, like extreme feminists can be referred to like girls, growling sound. Yeah. Guyliner. That's one of my favorites. What is a guyliner? Probably ladies have heard about, well, not only ladies have heard about an eyeliner, yeah? Which is something we use to put makeup on our faces. And actually, a guyliner is directly related to that. This is simply an eyeliner that is worn by men. So some people, some artists, well, even as long ago as 1970s or earlier, used to put some makeup on. Well, let's think about David Bowie, for example. Yeah. So special word for an eyeliner used by guys, by men, as a guyliner, for example. Yeah, a glam rock singer with a banshee wail, a guyliner, and a black nail polish. If you think about all the goth kids, black makeup, guy-liners. Yeah, so this is something that men use, like women do with eyeliners, guy-liners. Okay. Hangry. Well, what two words have been combined to create this one? It's a nice adjective. hangry. Seems kind of obvious here, but what two words have made up this one? Speaking about something like hunger again. Yeah, so if you're hangry, you're angry because you have no food, or you maybe skipped a meal. Yeah, so combining anger with hunger gives you the adjective hangry. Yeah? So you can use it when you're in a bad mood, and when you are in need of something to eat as soon as possible. Yeah, because you skipped a meal, for example. So I get very hangry if I miss a meal. Once again, hope that none of you are hungry or hangry. Okay. Illiterati. That's a nice noun describing a group of people. Well, I guess you're familiar with the word illiterate or illiteracy. Illiterate people cannot read or write, and nowadays the word illiterati is used to refer to people who are not well educated or well informed about a particular subject or sphere of activity. So basically, they are ignorant. Yeah, for example, he's a member of the computer illiterati. So this is what a teenager might say about his grandfather, yeah, who is not very computer literate, right? Infomania. Well, I guess this one is obvious and pretty up to date. Like nowadays, we all have this kind of compulsive desire to check or accumulate news information using our mobiles or computers. We are online all the time. We check our emails like every 10 minutes, or our Twitter or whatever social networks, just to not to miss anything. And this phenomenon has been called like infomania. We want to be up to date all the time. Like, for example, scientists warned that the rise in infomania could reduce workers' mental sharpness. So don't use your phones too often. Jeggings. That's an article of clothing. Any ideas like what jeggings might be? What's that? Kind of trousers, right? Jeggings are like tight-fitting stretch trousers, usually for women, which resemble a pair of denim jeans, like skin-tight elastic jeans worn by teenagers usually, but I guess not only. So these are jeggings. La La Land. I'm not talking about the film, which you probably have seen, but what is La La Land? It's actually a real place in America. And what is that? Somewhere on the West Coast. What is La La Land? Well, it's simply Los Angeles or Hollywood, to be more specific, or any fanciful state or dream world, because like Hollywood for many, maybe not is, but it used to be like a dream place where dreams basically come true. So that's what La La Land is. Yeah. For example, the magazine's special Hollywood issue has sent La La Land into a state of apoplexy. Another one is listicle. Again, two words combined, blended into one. And what is a listicle? What two words have been blended here? That, of course, is a list and an article. And what a listicle is a piece of writing or any other content presented wholly or partially as a list, usually on some website. For example, a recent BuzzFeed listicle called 21 Pictures That Will Restore Your Faith in Humanity has attracted more than 13 million views. So that's a listicle, an online article in the form of a list of items, pictures, or whatever. Locavore. That's another interesting one. Well, omnivores are creatures that eat everything. Carnivores are creatures that eat meat. Herbivores are creatures that eat plants. And locavores, well, these are people who well, who eat locally, whose diet consists only of locally grown or produced food. Are you locavores? Well, probably kind of difficult to be a locavore sometimes. But for example, why is that locavore restaurants serve food from the next farm over, but wine from France? Yeah, so locavore restaurant, it can be used as an adjective as well. Serve only local food products. Okay. MacGyver. Well, people who remember 1980s and this great TV series whose main character was MacGyver, a guy called MacGyver, might have an idea of what a verb to MacGyver something means. And it's simply like repairing something in an improvised and inventive way. Using whatever objects you have at hand, so just making something out of nothing. Yeah? So that requires a lot of imagination. For example, he has a shock of short red hair and a pair of rectangular framed glasses MacGyvered with duct tape. So obviously his glasses have been fixed using some tape. So not the obvious thing to use to fix glasses. So that's why they have been MacGyvered. Yeah. Mankini. Well, the first thing that comes to mind, of course, a bikini, but mankini is worn by men. Yeah, so this is like brief one-piece bathing garment for men with a tea bag. So basically, you can see a lot. Mankini hardly covers anything, but if you remember the film about Borat, the journalist from Kazakhstan, he used to wear a mankini at some point in this film. For example, he wandered down the beach in his mankini to the amazement of onlookers. Yeah, onlookers are people who just look on, in amazement. So that's what a mankini is. Like some, well, maybe not the latest, but some quite recent fashion. Mansplain. Wow, what about this verb? Any ideas what that means? What does it mean to mansplain? Because obviously a blend of men and explain, and mansplaining basically is when a man explains something typically to a woman in a rather condescending or patronizing manner, basically not believing that the woman can understand what he's talking about. So basically kind of the sexist thing to do nowadays. For example, I'm listening to a guy mansplain economics to his wife. Yeah, probably this guy doesn't believe that she can understand a thing of it, right? So that's what mansplaining is. Another word with manspreading. If any one of you like use public transport, you might be familiar with some people taking too much space, like 2 seats at a time. Probably not possible during rush hour, but that's at some less busy times. Yeah, usually male commuters whose legs commit some annoying crime of seat trespassing, we might call it. Yeah. So basically, they sit with their legs wide apart and they take up more than one seat, or they put their feet on another seat. For example, a campaign has been launched to discourage manspreading or using an adjacent seat as a footrest. Unfortunately, it still happens, I guess. So adjacent simply means next to, right? The next word is a mic drop. Well, mic is short for microphone, and so mic drop simply means a moment at the end of particularly impressive performance or speech when the whole room audience is very quiet, and it's a good moment just to drop the mic and leave the stage and walk away like a superstar. Yeah, so maybe at the end of this webinar I will drop the mic or something. We'll see. For example, he ruffled some feathers with his acceptance speech and mic drop after winning the Best British Album Award. So, and what about the idiom ruffle feathers? What does it mean to ruffle some feathers? That basically means to irritate, to annoy, to upset someone with your behavior or what you've done. Microaggression. Well, kind of like self-explanatory. A microaggression is a statement, an action, or incident which can be regarded as an example or instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against some member of some minority group, some marginalized group, like racial or ethnic minority. And the important thing is not intentional. Yeah, it just happened because of somebody's ignorance or by accident. Like the students made signs detailing microaggressions they had heard or experienced. Mini-Me. Well, if you remember the film Austin Powers, yeah, the villain, the bad guy, had like a mini-me, who is simply a person closely resembling a smaller, younger version of another person, right? For example, so far, Eminem's Mini-Me has failed to get himself a money-making deal. Muffin top. Well, that's another kind of like sexist expression, not really referring to food or muffins, which most people like, I guess. A muffin top is simply a roll of fat visible above the top of a pair of women's tight-fitting, low-waisted trousers. Yeah, so some girls dress rather courageously, and yeah, sometimes you can see a muffin top flowing out of their pants. For example, geez, check out the muffin top on that chick. So this is kind of like teenager slang. But if you hear about muffin top, well, it doesn't necessarily refer to muffins from coffee shop or bakery. Muggle, like any fan of Harry Potter's knows who a muggle is. And this word has become quite widespread in English. A muggle is a person who is not conversant with a particular activity or skill, or ignorant person. Yeah, for example, he's a muggle, no IT background, understanding, or aptitude at all. Yeah, so if somebody is not really good at something, he's a muggle. Aptitude is very similar to skill, right? Mix or mux. Well, we know Mr., Mrs., Ms., and so on, but this is something else. And it's used instead of Mr., Mrs., or Ms. When somebody is trying to avoid specifying their gender, or just prefers not to identify as male or female. So it's kind of like gender neutral title, and usually we pronounce it as mix or mux, right? For example, the bank is planning to introduce the honorific mix as an alternative for anyone who feels that they don't, for reasons of undetermined gender, fit into being either a Mr., Mrs., Miss, or a Miss, right? So mix or mux, also a sign of our times. Noob, like somebody mentioned noob before. Speaking of geeks, and a noob actually is a person who is inexperienced in a particular sphere or activity, especially when talking about computing, internet, or video games. For example, this noob is so annoying and arrogant. He thinks he knows more than me. So basically, a newbie, somebody who is new to something and pretends he knows more than in fact he does. Purple state. Thinking about presidential elections in the United States next year, traditionally blue states vote for the Democratic candidate, and the red states vote for the Republican Party, and purple states, or speaking of them, we can also call them swing states. These are states in the US where both Democratic and Republican parties have similar levels of support among voters. So basically, these are the states where the election gets decided. Yeah, purple states. Like Iowa today is a purple state, pretty evenly divided between Republicans and Democrats. So that's what a purple state is. Rage quit. That's a very nice verb, and I guess probably at some point of our lives we all rage quit because of something. And this one simply means basically abandoning an activity because it frustrates the hell out of us. Usually used by young people to talk about video games. Yeah, when they cannot complete a level, or they die all the time, they just stop playing, smash their keyboard, or throw away their phone. Yeah, just this is rage quitting. Yeah, when you just are so frustrated you don't want to continue an activity anymore. For example, we almost rage quit while trying to get a couple of sandwiches and a pasta salad. So sometimes even ordering food can be not that easy and make you rage quit. And then you are hangry and you are, especially when you see something drool-worthy, right? Rando, that's quite an odd one. A rando is simply a creepy, odd, or suspicious person that we don't know, engaging in socially inappropriate behavior. Like, so it's better to stay away from randos. Yeah, this might be a person sitting on a bench in the park and screaming at strangers, for example. Yeah, or like here, some rando asked to take her photo, and like, it's a bit strange when a strange guy asks if he can take a photo of you, right? Or getting yelled at by randos doesn't bother me. So randos are just people we don't know who behave strange in public places, right? So it's better to stay away from them. Screenager. Obviously a blend of teenager and screen, and who a screenager is as a young person, like either in their teens, an adolescent, or a person in their 20s with very good aptitude for computers and the internet. So basically, like younger generations nowadays, yeah, they are very computer literate, and they can be called like screenagers, for example. Today's screenager is interacting with his world in a dramatically altered fashion compared to his grandfather, right? Because what they do, they mostly interact through screen, right? Through some kind of electronic device. Sexting. What is sexting? Any ideas? Have you ever sexted anyone? Well, I guess many people do nowadays. So it's obviously a combination of sex and text. And sexting is like sending some sexually explicit messages or photographs via your mobile phone. For example, older teens are more likely to engage in sexting than their younger counterparts. Or 1 in 9 Brits sext their partners every day, a new survey has found. So not only texting, but people also do sexting. Okay. Snackable, that's a very nice adjective, and it's quite self-explanatory. If something is snackable, it simply means that it's served in bite-sized portions when you mean food. Or we can use snackable also to describe some online content that can be snackable, so read or engaged easily and conveniently. For example, always have a few snackable veggies on hand, so that's about food. Or more people are turning to their mobile devices for snackable, entertaining content, some memes or anything that can be ingested very quickly. Text speak. Speaking about text messages, this is the language which is characteristic of text messages. When you use lots of abbreviations, acronyms, initials, emoticons, like if you look in brackets, we have like, what happens when you write like this? So the spelling is horrible, absolutely incorrect, but just to save time, especially young people, text like this, right? For example, perhaps you two should call themselves you two or two to avoid promoting text speak among the youth. Well, too late for that, I guess. Totes. That's a very nice adverb, which is simply a short form of the word totally. You can, for example, say it's summer, so it's light all the time, plus the scenery is totes amazing, like totally amazing. This is pretty embarrassing, but I was totes asleep, totally asleep, and I'm tots scared right now. Totally scared right now. Yeah. So, again, teenage word kind of, totes for totally. Truthiness. When you think about fake news nowadays and truthiness versus the truth, this is actually the quality of seeming or being felt to be true according to your intuition, opinion, or perception, but with total disregard to logic or factual evidence, like people who believe the earth is flat. And for them, it's the truth, but actually it's kind of like truthiness, because they don't take any scientific research or evidence into consideration. So this is truthiness. Nowadays, lots of truthiness, especially online, right? Like there's a growing trend of truthiness as opposed to truth. So yeah, we need to verify what we read online with care, I guess, to avoid truthiness. Twerk, which is a verb, and if you think about some video clips to some pop songs, twerking is a kind of way of dancing to popular music in a sexually provocative manner, involving thrusting hip movements and low squatting stance. Miley Cyrus was famous for this during some MTV Video Awards some years ago. There was twerking at its best, I guess. For example, just wait till they catch their daughters twerking to this song, and unfortunately, you can see some young girls twerking, just imitating their idols, yeah, from some pop videos. So, kind of trendy word, unfortunately. Twitterati. So, well, who are Twitterati? Basically, these are people who are very keen or are very frequent users of Twitter, the social networking site. Yeah. For example, her post was retweeted by various members of the Twitterati. Or I have seldom seen the Twitterati so united in their contempt for one man. So basically, heavy users of Twitter can be referred to as Twitterati. Unfriend, well, nowadays, I guess this word is very common. If you remove someone from a list of your friends or contacts on a social website, you unfriend them, right? Very easy, just one click away, right? For example, she broke up with her boyfriend, but she hasn't unfriended him. Upcycle, well, we know what recycling is, but upcycling is basically reusing some discarded objects or materials in such a way as to create a higher quality product or better value than the original. Yes, like using some old clothes and just modifying them so they are still fashionable, right? That's upcycling. Or using some old materials to make a bag, for example, yeah, or something we might use every day. Like the opportunity to upcycle trash or turn it into new products was vast. Vast means simply huge. What ifs? It's going to be an exclamation or an adverb, and this is just a shortened version of whatever. We can use it as an exclamation, like I'm sure someone will disagree with my summary, but what ifs? Or we have some potatoes that we could grill too, or mash or bake, or what ifs, whatever. Yeah? Whovian. Any Doctor Who fans here? Because Whovian is like an online word which describes a fan of the British science fiction television series Doctor Who. Maybe not that much popular in Poland, but in Britain there's lots of Whovians. For example, as a fan from way back, I am well aware of just how passionate Whovians are about everything Who. Well, and just to round up, just to finish with, well, a word which is well known to anyone nowadays, I guess, a YouTuber. It became kind of a household name nowadays. Every kid knows who a YouTuber is. Of course, it's a person who uploads, produces, or appears in videos on the video sharing website YouTube, one of the most popular websites on the internet nowadays. For example, yeah, we've been seeing top YouTubers getting TV deals over the last couple of years, or I asked my kids who their favorite YouTubers were. And actually, yeah, that's the last word for today. So now we can finish and simply open our browsers and start YouTube and watch something. Maybe you have some favorite YouTubers who upload some new content every day. Lots of young people nowadays do have such YouTubers, plenty of them, I guess. So thank you very much for joining me tonight, and I hope that some of these words will be useful in your everyday life, and that you've learned something new tonight. So once again, thanks for joining me here, and have a good evening. Bye-bye.